You were talking to me just now, Bharti. You said the reason you are sort of a little over and above is because of the parking issues that you had. Is this feeling permanent? Is this feeling transient? Last night you had the best time you could with your clothes on. I don't know, I'm hoping. Right? I'm saying last night maybe you had the best time you could with your clothes on. That feeling is permanent or transient?
Why ask me that?
Come on.
Transient.
Transient. I just stopped myself. Right? And yet made the point because then there are some things which you leave to the imagination.
Already many people imagine so.
Okay, more seriously, in the context of interviews, yesterday, right at the beginning, some of us spoke about how we are ambassadors when we are conducting the interview, whether there's a hire or notwithstanding. Yes or no? Yes. Whether there's a hire at the end of the interview or not, we are all ambassadors. Yes or no?
Yes.
That's one. Second, it is a mandate, one of the first mandates of an interviewer, and we can agree to disagree or agree, to be what can loosely be termed as poker face. What is poker face?
No expression. Not giving away anything.
Yes, poker face is when it is for me to know and for you to find out. Poker face is when it is for me to know and for you to find out. Yes, totally. So you are just being nice, courteous, all those things that you are giving nothing away. You are holding all your cards very, very close to your chest. Right? Is that essential in being what is ostensibly an important part of us being an interviewer, which is being great ambassadors of the organization, just keeping it all in perspective? No. Why?
That might not keep the other person covered.
Is that right? Why do you think so?
You will not come out thinking that you have not given a good answer, or you already made up your mind, or the interview is over,
So,
or something.
what?
Can I
What's
take
the
an
difference?
example of yesterday? We had that situation where we had an interview and an interview.
Hmm.
They had put a mask, it was like, it looked very rude, where I'm sure, I told you about the intimidation.
Huh.
Can that happen if you...
So, can that happen? So, is rude poker face?
No.
No, I mean...
So, rude is still a face. It is not equanimity. So,
It's not really rude, but then the expression was like so bland. It was not making the other person comfortable. But it was just a bland expression.
So I'm saying still, okay, to understand center, right? Left of center, right of center. We are just very, very delicately poised where we are being courteous. We are being to the point. We are asking questions. We are listening. We are just not telling what we are thinking.
Maybe where
Then
it's
it's
coming
easy
from is...
for the, okay.
Yeah, go for it.
The more it becomes predictable, and it's easy for the other person
To game you, yes, yeah,
So
definitely.
hence you should
Be equanimous, yeah.
Maybe where he's coming from is that a poker face might lead to uncertainty in the mind of the candidate as to whether he's done it okay, not okay. And I think that's very
Sure, definitely. I mean, so that's what you're saying is absolutely right. That's not what we're advocating. We're just saying that we don't tell the person what we are thinking. We are equanimous. Right. Again,
I think it also means that I think the question is you can also be, you don't have to be stiff in an interview. You can smile. I think that's
yeah.
obviously those are things that are
But hygiene.
Yeah. So it doesn't mean that you sit with a stony expression, smiling or something like that. I don't think that's what is meant by equanimous.
Sorry?
That's not what is meant by equanimous. Right?
That's not what is meant by equanimous. Okay.
You can at least in a body language display some positivity, right?
Exactly. So that's equanimity, right? Or that's not equanimity.
No, I'm saying so that is part of equanimity as far as I'm concerned. In the sense, it's okay to not sit very stiffly.
As part of equanimity.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what.
As long as you do not allow your candidate to predict you, I think you should decide your exposure.
Yeah. Sure.
Right? So you have to balance.
Yes. Sort of one of the things to be kept in mind. Right. So just now, Arsha, one quick side note. How many times does it happen in interview, and we just ran the chance of that happening just now?
Yeah.
You and I were saying the same thing. And I asked it twice or thrice. How many times does it happen in an interview where you are disagreeing, not because you're saying different points of view, you're disagreeing because you're saying the same point of view differently? And that's one of the errors which happens, you're not listening to understand. So I was trying to understand what does he mean by equanimity and checking whether it is in line. It was eventually that it was in line. Right? Yes. So to go back, equanimity for one or two reasons at the top. Equanimity because also your own headspace is very important while you're conducting these interviews. Right? So you don't want a rush of adrenaline. To a large extent, you may say it is not something for you to ignore. Like at the end of having what you think is a big catch, there is adrenaline. What's adrenaline?
Rush of the
Rush of blood. Adrenaline.
Excitement.
Right? Adrenaline.
Adrenaline is
Excitement, right? So the hormone secreted. So you cannot help it. It is natural. But consciously be equanimous, move on to the next job.
Then again, your self-awareness plays a role.
Okay? Yes.
Calm and composed. Say that.
Sorry?
Calm and composed.
Calm and composed. Sure, yes, equanimity. Yes.
Is there anything to say that phone-based interviews versus face-to-face lend themselves better to this kind of setting? Or nothing like that?
So let me see if I understand.
So,
No.
yeah. So what I have found is that it's easier, speaking for me personally, and I could be wrong, of course, that when I have been on either side, as an interviewer or as an interviewee also, right? It's easier for me to be in this equanimous state when it's phone-based. When it's phone-based.
It's phone-based.
So for example, many in earlier roles, not in Vodafone, now other organizations, quite a few of my interviews have actually been almost virtually phone-based until the last stage.
Okay.
Partly because of remote location,
Sure.
distant overseas, this and that. So anyway, just food for thought.
Sure. Okay. So your point of view, Sunita?
No, I thought it is more. It's more better fit.
Is what I would also tend to think. I don't know.
So I found, at least in my case,
Ah.
that I was less distracted
Is it right?
when I was on a phone. Seriously.
So were you an interviewee or interview?
Both sides, yeah.
Both
I've
sides.
been on both sides.
Could be a little bit of benefit for the interviewee.
Interviewee, yeah.
No, actually, you don't know what is your expression or what is the body language you're displaying on the phone. So maybe you're
Also, he might be, we don't know where he is kind of going.
that's what I'm saying. So you're really not bothered
Not
about
being informed.
how you're dressed, how you're sitting, or what's the.
No, I don't mean from my comfort level. If I'm interviewing a candidate, I found I was able to better gauge the candidate, quickly on the phone than vis-a-vis face-to-face. Anyway, that's a personal style. So I don't
Sure.
think you should get distracted by that.
Okay. Fun one coming up. There are two kinds of interviewers. There's a duck interviewer and there's a swan interviewer. What do we know about the duck? What do we know about the swan?
What is that? Underwater, but
So what do we we know about the duck? What do we know about the swan?
What does swan do? Swan shows
Okay, let's step out of the interview. Let's just say what do you know about the duck? What do you know about the duck?
calm on the surface, flaps underneath,
No ornithologists in the room. Only other kinds of bird watchers. Swan is beautiful, okay. Definitely other kind of bird watcher.
And swan is also no single color. So that is much.
Not single. Swan is single, is it?
White.
There is a very famous book.
Black swan in Australia.
Okay, so basically, absence of proof is not proof of absence. Okay. So we are talking about a single beautiful swan, and then what happened? Just picking on you. Okay, my bad. Just picking on you. What do we know about the swan? We know that the swan is beautiful. Okay. What do we know about the duck? What else do we know about the swan? What do we know about the duck? Pick.
That makes the water shallow.
Ugly.
Short neck and long neck.
Who's short neck? Who's long neck?
And long neck. Swan's long.
Right there.
Correct.
Where?
They can fly for long
Can
distance.
fly.
Who can fly?
Swan can fly.
Both can fly. Swan flies normal. Both can fly.
Swan flies normal.
Normal.
Okay.
It changes color from fledgling to the adult stage.
Swan. Okay.
Swan takes the fish.
Swan takes the fish. Okay. The reason we're talking about duck and swans in the context of interviewers is that there are these two interviewers are defined by this. The swan or the duck to begin with, if you watch the duck cross a pond, so you will be able to see the duck for a while, then it goes underwater. And then it remains underwater for a while. And then it's up again.
It keeps in and out.
Yeah, it gets so. So, it's there in front of you, it goes in, and it stays there, it comes out, it goes out. So, when you're watching a duck go through the pond, you're able to see that sometimes, not able to see it sometimes. The swan, however, while it is crossing the length of the pond, you're able to see as the swan is crossing the pond. Meaning to say, the duck interviewer in isolation asks fantastic questions. They may not necessarily be the most organic. They might not necessarily be the most structured. As a result, at the end of the interview, to use a strong phrase, there is a lack of sense of closure. What you're saying is that I'm conducting an interview and I'm asking a set of questions. And while I'm asking a question, so for example, I start, so tell me something about yourself. And you answer. And then I ask, so I then take a brief professional history. That's the second. There's a third thing that I say, not connected. So it is connected in the sense that you eventually will ask all of these in the interview. Then, so I've asked about the professional history. Then I'm maybe asking him some situational questions. And then again I ask, so how many siblings again? So I'm coming back to the. So it is, for lack of a better phrase, jerky. It's not organic. It's not smooth flowing. Unlike the swan, which when it is crossing a pond, you are able to see it at all times. So the sworn interviewer lends himself or herself to the participant in a manner where he or she is able to see that this is the route that we are going. There is no big difference if you sort of think of it, what difference does it make? The only difference is sometimes it does not end with a sense of closure. There's a sense of incompleteness at the end of the entire exercise.
Are we justified in saying that, say, if you're coming back to the point I was making yesterday, some interviews could be exploratory in nature. So do you think a duck style would benefit there than instead?
Okay, so good point. Digressions, exploration, digressions, where conscious, are fantastic. So, you make a digression, you fly, meaning to say metaphorically, you're flying a new kite in the air, and then a third one, so long as you can come and tie it all back, because you're doing it consciously. It's a conscious tangent, it's a conscious digression. Consciously exploratory nature, absolutely. Other things remaining constant in a normal interview, if you're spraying all over the place without knowing that you're spraying all over the place, that's when you're being a duck interview. Okay. After this is fine? These 10 skills make sense? Waiting.
Yes.
Krishna, waiting. These will help us
Yes.
as we go out and make these interviews?
Yes.
Okay, so that brings to a close, not the program, for better or for worse, but that brings to a close the art side, which is the how of really conducting the interview, keeping some of these skills in mind. We move on to take off from the word that British is using. Now we go to the more exploratory side of things. So in a minute's time, we will administer a quick psychometric. Right? All of us are interviewers, all of us are exposed to psychometrics. So does not need too many sort of instructions, except for a couple. Instruction number 1, this psychometric, like most psychometrics, needs to be taken with a pinch of. You are more than a label. You are more than those 13 questions, you are more than those 20 questions. Right? So that's one. Second, the big trap with the psychometric test is that sometimes we try to game it. We give the answer that we want to be, not necessarily the answer that we are. How do we find that? Typically the first response that comes to your mind is likely to be the answer that you are. And then if you get into the trap of saying, no, but that's not right, then you end up giving the answer that you want to be. So try and just go by your instinct. That's second. Third, again evidence is suggesting that psychometric tests deliver very, very different results in 1 week's time, in 2 weeks' time, depending upon the mood of the candidate, etc. So it expands our self-awareness a little bit. At the same time, it helps to know that it is a psychometric test at the end of the day, and we are more than the questions on the right. So the way we'll do this is, we will do this test, we will forget that we ever did this test, and we'll open up a new module with a fresh thought. At the end of that module, while we are at the throes of lunch, we will go back to it and close the loop. Sounds okay?
Yes.
Yes. Super.
We started.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Any time or something?
No, just it's a ASAP.
When you participate more, I'll take this out. Okay, we haven't always speak, but only when I'm speaking, I just speak.
Yes.
Come on. Classic.
So, okay, great question. So this is when we are asking these questions, it is not just necessarily when you are wearing your interview hat. Typically, in random situations, what do you talk about? Anita, give us that shot. It was a nice shot.
Coffee.
That's it. Turn it on the back. Forget that you ever did it. Leave it. Turn it upside down. hands. How many of us are done? Some to go. Thank you. Sure. So whilst the rest of us are getting done, this is the attendance sheet apparently. And if I may request, there's a lunch feedback form. So in the lunch time, I'm not sure if it's from Vodafone. It's Vodafone Cellular. So lunch feedback form that you might want to fill in when you're having right after you're having lunch and you think so. Yes, this is criminal. If you're taking so much time, certainly means that you're trying to game it. If I put this, how will it reflect? If I put that. Are you done? Yes. Okay, super.
Okay.
Yes?
Segment.
Okay, if you're all done, Lata, just waiting for you.
That's the first one.
Okay, we'll do that. Done, Lata?
Yeah, done.
Okay, super. Forget that we ever did it. Can I please have your attention? Where's my Buddha? Mr. Tanjavur. Yes. Okay. First things first. As we begin this, and this hopefully will tie back into one of our expectations yesterday, which was around reading verbal and non-verbal cues. A couple of people spoke about it. So first disclaimer, is it a good idea to try and learn body language, verbal cues, non-verbal cues in a session like this? Is it a good idea?
Yes.
Think about it. Given the science, given the history, given the dynamics of body language, how same things mean utterly different things in different cultures of the world, how territories are different, how personal spaces are different, how cues are different. Is it a good idea to say, this means I am closed? I might be feeling cold. This means I'm this. So is it a good idea to try and understand body language cues in isolation, in a silo? Right? It is one of the classic cases where that maxim of half knowledge being more dangerous than no knowledge fits in very, very well. So therefore, would make no effort. However, one of the most fantastic books written with such love and affection on the subject. There are the people speak about the entire sort of sexual dynamic to body language. There's a lot of work written on that. But much before that, in the 70s,